Hey guys, I wanted to go over the homework. I saw a lot of private comments about having trouble, particularly with like two and um, one, two, three, four, two, four, six, two, four, five, six. People had problems with that, so I want to go over that today. Um, so first, let me just make sure my mouse works. Okay, so let's go with number one, which I think a lot of people got, but let's just talk about it and use it as a basis. So every prism is the volume equals the capital B base. So the big base, like the base of the shape, times the height. So we'll take our cylinder right here, for example. And the cylinder is just a circular prism. So we want the base. So the base is that 2D area that's kind of being on top and bottom. It's kind of being on top and bottom. Sometimes it's left to right. Like number five, it kind of looks more like it's left to right versus top and bottom. So our base is this circle right here. So we need to figure out what the area of the base is. So you got to remember what the area of the circle is. And the area of the circle is pi r squared. Okay? So the base equals pi r squared. So it's going to be equal to what the radius is, which is here is 8. So we got pi times 8 squared or 64 pi. Okay? Now 64 pi, I'm just going to leave it like that until the end, and then I'll multiply everything by 3.14. Okay, so that's my capital B. I take that B, and you want to find the B first, and plug it and find H. So it's going to be 64 pi times the H. So that's the 3D height. So that's you're taking your flat circle and extending it up, up, up. And in this case, it's 7 kilometers in this case. So 7 kilometers, which is about like 4 miles. I don't know why it's kilometers though. So we do 64 times 7. That is 4 times 7 is 1428. Carry the 2. 6 times 7, uh, 35, 42, 44. So 488 pi. And the answer for 488 pi, which I imagine when you times it by 3.14, it should be about 1407.4, okay? Just it's hard for me to pull out a calculator in this setup. So let's go to number two. Number two, you have three numbers and you're trying to figure out what it is. So again, the volume is the base times the height. So we're still trying to figure out what the base is, that big base. Now the big base here is this shape. You could say on the top or the bottom, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to color in the top, I guess. But the volume or the face of the base of the this prism is a one, two, three, four, five, six, a hexagon. So it's a regular polygon. And the formula for a regular polygon is 1/2 the size of the sides, so that's S. A is the apothem, and N is the number of sides. So that is the equation you're using for the base. If you use a different equation, you're going to get the wrong answer. Okay? So that's base 1/2 sine, size of the side, apothem, and number of sides. So let's figure it out. So it's 1/2. How big is each side of the hexagon? And that's really important to tell the difference. So this right here, this 3 seems to be indicated this line right here, and this 4 indicates this line right here. This 4 is definitely the side of the hexagon. Think of it as a 2D shape, and it might even help to just redraw the hexagon to yourself and say, well, I know this is 4, and I can see on the bottom hexagon, so this is like in the background, is 3.5. So it's 4 and it's 3.5. So the size of the size is 4. The apothem is 3.5 times the n. Now the n is the number of sides. So the number of sides is 6 as a hexagon. So we do the math. A half is 4 is 2. 2 times 6 is 12. 12 times 3.5 is 3642. Yeah, 42. So that's the base is 42. In this case, is feet squared. That's an area. Don't sweat the units, okay? So the base is 42 feet square. So we found our B. I always find the B first. So we could plug in 42 times the height, the 3D height. So how high is the hexagon getting stacked? In this case is 3. So 42 times 3 should be 126. And then I slowly scroll down. 126 feet cubed, yeah. Okay? So I'm going to pause this and then I'm going to go to some of the more particular ones that people have problems with. All right, we're on the next one. I'm going to skip number 4 because it's very similar for number 2. So use number 2 to help yourself try to get number 4. Number 3 is it almost looks like a cube, but it's a rectangular prism. So let's look at the bottom shape. Now it's kind of hard to like which one's the bottom shape. And only with a rectangular or slash cube, you could say any side is the bottom. But since they put the red right angles here, I'm going to color in or like outline the bottom, which is this here. When I say bottom, I should say base. Is the base here. Because sometimes the base is not physically on the bottom. Sometimes it's on the left or the right. So again, your volume equation stays the same. The thing that changes each time is your base equation. Now the base for a rectangle is length times width. I'm highly considering on your upcoming test to give you at least the formulas for all your 2D shapes, okay? So the volume of the area of the base is length times width. So with that in mind, we're going to find the length and the width. So this 7 looks like it correlates to this 3D height, and this 6 correlates to here, and this 5 correlates to here. And these are all right angles, so we could have took our information for parallelograms. You know the opposite is 6 and 5 also. So the base is simply 6 times 5. It doesn't matter which one's length, which one's the width. And that's 30. Very important. This 5 is just getting repeated because it's the opposite of this. This 6 is getting repeated because it's the opposite of that. So base is 30, okay? So then we take our volume and we're trying to take the 30 and times it by our 3D height. And our 3D height in this case is 7. So it's 30 times 7, which is 210, in this case, centimeters cubed. Okay? Checking the answer, then I'm going to pause and get ready for number 5. So 210 centimeters cubed. All right, so let's go to the next one, which is number 5. And I'm going to skip number 6 because it's very similar to number 1. So I'm just going to do number 5 here. So use number 1 to help you find number 6. So the volume for number 5 is a little tricky because now the base is not like drawn to be the bottom. The base is the shape that is repeated twice on both sides, okay? Now when it comes to a rectangular prism, technically the front squared is repeated, sometimes the back squared is repeated. That's always repeated. For number 5 though, the base is this right triangle over here. I guess I could draw this one first. It's this right triangle over here, which means this other right triangle is exactly the same, okay? And you have to recognize what is your base. Because remember, the volume equation doesn't change. It's the base part that changes. So the base of this shape is a right triangle. And the area for a right triangle is 1/2 little b base times height. So I'm going to redraw this right triangle though, okay? So I'm going to redraw the right triangle right here. And then the top of it looks like a 3. Here's your right angle. The side looks like a 4. And this hypotenuse looks like a 5. Okay, so with that in mind, which one is the base and height? It's not that obvious for sometimes, especially in this triangle, which is kind of like upside down, typical to what we look at it. So the key to always find the base or the base and height of a triangle is the right angle here. The sides or lines that are associated with the right angle is going to tell you what the base and height of the triangle is, and particularly this right triangle. If it was a normal triangle, usually they show you like this. They'll say, let's say this is 10, and they put a little dotted line here, and they show you a little right angle like this. So that shows you that this right angle is still the key, and we call this, let's say 6. So then your base is 10, and your height is 6. So this one, the right angle happens to be on the actual sides. But that's okay. So it's just the numbers that touches the right angle, or the sides that touches the right angle. So it happens to be 3 and happens to be 4. So our base here is 1/2 times 3 times 4. So that's 12 divided by 2. That is 6. So our base is 6. Technically, the unit is feet squared. Again, don't sweat units. All right. So now, well, let's pick green, I guess. So now we'll go to our next one, which is over here. Well, okay. So we know our base is 6 times the height of the 3D shape. So the height is not always just straight up down. The height is how much you're stacking your base. Let's say my hand's the base, and this is my other hand. It's the same. It's a mirror, right? So it's how much space is in between. How many stacks of hands do you have on top of each other? And it keeps going and going. So this case, it's this green line that I highlighted, which is 3. So this 3 feet is the height of the prism, the 3D height. So 6 times 3, or the depth sometimes. So 6 times 3 is 18. And your answer should be 18 feet cubed. And I'm just doing this especially because you guys left some private comments saying like this is tough. I mean, I'm reading them. I have to grade some papers, so I'll spend time doing that. Otherwise, I hope this really helps you guys, and use this to also help you with the pyramids, because the pyramids are very similar, okay? So otherwise, have a wonderful day, guys, okay?